What's going on, y'all? My name is Greg Brown, and if you know my story, you've heard about basketball, Brazil, business. I mean, so much happened over the last few years, and I'm now aware of what we would call a reoccurring theme that I didn't even recognize at the time. But it goes all the way back to when my nephew is first time in Cancun, or I'm recording my brother's high school team, or I'm overseas and I'm working out when I'm back home. I'm doing interviews, all these different conversations and stories, right? I realize I really value stories, like people's stories. I don't know, it like lights me up here in new, backgrounds and overcoming things. And, one of the things that I believe our story is the most valuable thing that we own, right? Not the fake story we tell on social media, not the doctored story we tell our family. So it's like, oh, things are going well. No. The real, true, genuine story. It's like I'm meeting people, every single story that I've heard from people is completely different. It's unique. There's like intricacies. It's like a key. And what I've learned is that key unlocks the door to a lot of people's breakthroughs in life, right? And so, I don't know. I feel like I've been around a lot of incredible stories, and I feel like I'm doing a disservice not sharing some of those with you guys. And here's the thing, extraordinary looks different to everyone. To some people, that millionaire is extraordinary. To some people, that mom who takes care of her son and is intentional to make sure she protects the mindset of the kid, that's extraordinary. Everyone's version of extraordinary is different. And so I want to bring extraordinary to you guys. And so we're going to be starting tonight our first ever a series by the name of Return the Favor. Okay, now when you hear favor, you think, okay, you're doing a favor for somebody, right? And it's out of the kindness of your heart. They may not really have earned it, but it's like, I just felt like I'm gonna help them out, right? Here's what I've realized. I and many of us have been given so many favors, whether it be from people, whether it be from the world, from God, whatever you want to say. We've been blessed to, we worked hard to get to where we're at in life, and we've got some lucky breaks. And, I'll give you an example. I'm in America. I'm free right now. I have the ability to go outside without being, like there's so many. I have a family that I've been blessed with beyond measure, like the hearts of my family and like the care. Now, everyone's blessings look different, but if you're watching this right now, you have been blessed beyond measure to even have the capacity to tap into this. And I'll tell you right now, throughout my basketball career, I knew I worked hard, but I was a little unaware of the level of a favor that was on my life. And so I've been blessed beyond measure, and I feel like it's my duty to return that and share that with those of you guys that are watching. So with that being said, I'm around some incredible people in all different avenues, art, business, parenting, right? And so I'm going to be bringing it all to you guys today with Return the Favor, episode 1. We're going to start with a guy by the name of Simisola. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, so I'm going to let him do it for you. But he's going to share his story. His family's from Nigeria, to his story to, Oakland, to the tech world, to business and so forth, and give you some insight into some of the things that he's been through and what he's learned along the way. And I'm hoping his story connects with you, or I don't know, maybe you know somebody who will connect with this young man's story. But again, the point of this is getting a microphone in front of good people. I think more of us need to share our story. It's like good people stay so quiet and no one knows your story, and you have no idea who is on the other side of that story and whose life could be changed in the process. So with that being said, here we go. Today's first episode of Return the Favor starts now. So I'm just telling everybody, don't need to oversell anything.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It is what it is.
Right.
So yeah, if you don't mind, real quick, just kind of start off with your background. Just where are you from?
My name is Simisola, Ajimatanrareje. I'm originally from Nigeria. I was born in California, Oakland area. Shout out Bay Area, second out. But I grew born there and then moved over here to Maryland. So grew up in Maryland for a good portion of my life, middle school, high school, even college. And so that's a little bit of my background. Went to Towson University, graduated there with the computer science IT degrees right here.
Hey.
Right, and so you typical, of African parents, they want their kids to go to school to become a doctor, lawyer, engineer. I kind of followed suit, and he said, what good paying job and what career field can I get that'll be able to pay me decent when I graduate from college? And that's when I got into IT. And when I graduated, started working as an AWS cloud engineer at Amazon. Good 6-figure salary right out of college, and working as an Amazon Web Services engineer, and it was a great decent job. You know, obviously when you make six figures as a W-2 employee on your salary, you kind of don't get all of it coming out to your paycheck, right? It looks differently when you get paid, right? They take the taxes out and everything. So I was like, hey, I thought I was supposed to get paid more than this. So I was like, all right, whatever. I guess this is just how jobs work, right? So I just kept it pushing, did that. I was working there for like a year and a half, 2 years. But, every time I would work, I didn't really feel fulfilled. I knew I was kind of just trading my time for money, going through the motions. I'm like, dang, I don't know if I could do this for 10, 15 years on end. So I was already kind of looking for something else dissatisfied in a sense, but I just didn't know what to do, right? And I was blessed to go to a church here in Maryland called Union Church, church in Glen Burnie. They have multiple campuses in different locations, but I usually went to the Columbia campus. But they did a posting saying Dr. John C. Maxwell, a famous author, was coming out, and he was going to be speaking at the Glen Burnie campus in BWI. And I said, oh, that's pretty cool. So let me, instead of just go to Columbia, where I'm kind of usually going, let me go to the BWI campus, go to meet him in person. And definitely got ordained and walked my steps, because I went to the early service. And I don't usually go to the early service. I usually go to 10:15 for sure. And that's when I was like, okay, let me go. I went, and great sermon, learned a lot, but some individual definitely sat down next to me, and we just struck up a conversation, and his name was Andrew Burns, so he talked to me a little bit, obviously about what was being preached, but everything like that, and I think that was his actually first time going to the church as well. So, but he then in the lobby at the end of service connected with an individual named Chris Hart. So I saw Chris Hart in the lobby. He had some camera following him around. I'm like, oh, who's this guy? He seemed pretty associated. It must be important, right? Yeah, Trey Sean, right? So I was like, okay, cool. So I was like, okay, yeah, we talked a little bit. Said, hey, man, we're having this financial workshop, and you should come out to the office and everything like that. And I said, oh, okay, sure. And then they sent me the information. I said, I'll come. And I came. And when I came, learned so much. I was like, wow, definitely blown away. Obviously, the environment is a new environment when you come in here, different people, different backgrounds, but I just learned so much value. I said, wow, this is stuff that my community needs, and this is what I need. But more importantly, I thought to myself, this is what my dad should have had. He passed away 3-4 years ago, and he didn't have any life insurance, living benefits, or any of that stuff. And I said, oh, wow, this is crazy. I didn't know that, that stuff was out there. This would have been really nice 4 years ago. But then I learned, I said, this makes sense to at least have. I already had a whole life policy, but then I learned about these IUL things. I'm like, oh, this is probably like an upgraded version of that. It just looks so cool. And I looked into it, I'm like, oh, it's pretty legit. So I said, let me at least get a policy for sure. I think that's what I wanted, leaving out. But then I thought to myself, what? Is this something I could, maybe do on the side? They said I could refer people, make an extra couple $1,000s a month. And I said, what? Why not? I got nothing better to do. $200 to get licensed. Okay, it seemed legit. So I kind of got enrolled, and that's kind of how I got started.
See, so I didn't even know. One of my favorite parts about that is you went into Union. Because if you were think about that. If you were watching on YouTube at home, you don't need Chris. That's crazy.
It's crazy, man. That's why you got to go in person and everything you do.
So, and this is...
Yeah, that's my dad. That's my dad.
This is the picture.
Yeah, that's a picture of my dad. So under it says $25,000 in lost bonds returned. So back then in 1970, 1980, $25,000 is a lot, So he returned the lost bond. He could have pocketed it and said, "Hey, this is mine." That's came up to $25,000, but instead he returned it back to the owner and the bank, and they put him in the newspaper, because especially back then, most people don't do that. Most people would just keep it and said, "Oh, well, my lucky day." But he definitely had he was a man of integrity. And that's what he taught us, to just be integrity. Like, no matter what you do, God is always watching, good and bad. And he said, even though you might not get rewarded here on earth, your reward will definitely, of course, be up in heaven. So, so they printed out a newspaper and everything. So that's kind of like one of the things that I have of him. I don't have too much since I was the last born. I was kind of like, there's a big gap between me and my siblings. There's like, they're all 13, 14 years older than me and everything like that. So, But yeah, so that's one of the things I had of him.
Did you ever have any doubts or hesitate or anything like that, or?
Yeah and no. Like, it's funny you say that, because like I look at the perspective on where I'm at now. Then I try to compare and think, okay, when I first got started, what did I think? Yeah, naturally you have apprehensions. It's something new. Anything that's new, you have apprehensions, or that's normal human behavior. That's how we're wired. We're always thought, okay, this is something new. Whoa, hold on, let me pump the brakes. Let me think about it, process it logically, and then obviously we process it emotionally as well, since we're human. But I definitely had, I was like, okay, cool, what is this? I was like, oh, I gotta get a license by the state of Maryland. Oh, okay, that's pretty legit. I mean, that makes sense, credible. It sounds a lot like real estate or any other thing you gotta get a certification for. And then the second one, I was like, oh, okay, obviously the environment is loud. that's not. If you played sports, you normally have. So I played basketball and stuff. I was like, okay, nothing wrong with competing, competitiveness, a lot of environment. But I would say with the business, I thought to myself, it's like, oh, like this is normal. Like in a business, you have to invest in the startup of your business. Like you got to invest in yourself. When I got started, I got started at a peculiar time. There was a promotion going on and everything, which was great to run for. But then also there was a conference event that I had to go for, which was a Train the Trainers. And at that time in 2022 was Orlando, Florida. I'm like, oh, okay, I gotta buy my flight, gotta buy a ticket. Dang, I just paid for my this and I paid for all this. I'm like, I gotta pay more for another thing. I'm like, wait, hold on. I'm thinking about it, like that's kind of normal in most businesses. You have to invest in yourself to, get what you want, especially if you want a good return on investment. So I thought to myself, like, okay, that's kind of normal, I think. I have no business background prior to this anyway, but I just knew it's like you gotta kind of, put some stuff in if you want to get something back naturally. That's just most businesses, and that's why I was like, okay, cool. And I did that, and then when I went to the conference event, it kind of really opened my eyes and expanded my vision. I'm like, oh, there are people like here just like me who are Nigerian, who are 24, 23, 25, making a good income for themselves, and they have, their purpose, they're being fulfilled, and they're making an impact to people, especially financially. I'm like, okay, this is, that's what all I needed to see to get some credibility, and I said, this makes sense to keep moving forward. So I would say, like, naturally in any business, there are some, like, you're kind of, apprehensive of certain things naturally, but once you kind of come around, you see the environment, it's like, it makes sense. It's legit. No one's trying to one up on somebody. Everyone's trying to help each other. That's something I noticed too. Everyone's genuinely helping people, and I know that that's definitely only happens a lot in faith-based environments. The other thing I knew that was like, oh, okay, these people, at the end of the day, no person is perfect, no environment, no culture is perfect, but when God is someone in the center, it's gonna be okay. Meaning that people kind of have your best interests at heart, and more importantly, that faith-based, the faith-centric part of it makes things more genuine. So I knew, like, at that point, okay, yeah, no one's trying to, like, it makes sense, so yeah.
That's good. I love it. Okay, talk to me about the process you get started and kind of like what's happened since then. Yeah,
definitely. It's been about 2 years now. Time flies, right? But yeah, 2 years since I got started in April 2022. First, I was doing it part-time. Still had my full-time job where I had my degree. And I was doing the business part-time, making an extra $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month, checks over there, but it was just a blessing, and having extra income on top of your full-time income at a job. But more importantly, when I was making more income, I felt like it wasn't the income part, it was a purpose that was being fulfilled. I felt like I was actually helping people. I was providing a service, providing value to people in areas that they needed it. So when I started, my income started to rise, but more importantly, I also started to feel fulfilled. I said, oh, that's what it feels like to be doing something and having God in the center of it. But more importantly, it's your purpose and aligned with your passion. So at that point, I'm like, oh, I don't get that feeling when I clock in and clock out at Amazon. Obviously, I went to school for 4 years for it, but I'm like, I didn't really feel that fulfillment. I got that here. So when the income here started to outpace my full-time job, I said, oh, okay, hold on now. This is kind of crazy. No one in my family
part-time.
Part-time, right, exactly. Not even full-time, part-time, just following the system. And I said, wow, no one in my family has ever made $10,000 in a month that I know of, right? Like $10,000 in 1 month. My dad had never, he's been, God rest his soul, he's never been in this country and made more than $10,000 in 1 month. That's a generational curse right there that's broken. And I'm like, wow, like what else could be possible? And then that's when I said, I started getting a bigger dissatisfaction at Amazon too, because I'm like, man, these guys are just making me do this and that, and I'm not even getting paid what I'm worth, and that's the thing about business entrepreneurship, especially this industry. What you get paid here is different from getting paid there at your job. You just grows a bigger disdain for it. Like, nah, I'm worth more than this, man. They finessing me over there at my job. So I just kept doing the business, and God really blessed it. Ironically, Amazon was doing layoffs. At that time, all these big tech companies were firing people left and right. I didn't get fired, but I saw a lot of people around me get let go. So it just gave me another wake-up call. Like, wow, like these businesses can just let you go at a snap of a finger if it's not in their best interest. So that's what opened my eyes, and I said, you know what? I think it's time for me to transition, because at that point I was making consistently $10,000 a month plus back to like 3-4 months in a row. And at that point I felt like I kind of figured some things out, and then more importantly I felt like I was having more of an influence and impact on people, because at that point teams started to grow as well, and when you have a bigger team it requires more of you, and obviously I can't be like, hey man, I'm working, and then I can't somebody's calling me for help. That doesn't make any sense. So I kind of just did that. And then from there, when I went full time in the business, that's when things really started to take off and got really blessed it heavily. Fast forward, became marketing director, a broker in the company here, and just getting started, just figuring things out as I go. But it's definitely fun, it's impactful, and more purpose driven. And then God is just more importantly aligning steps to make it make sense that this is something I have long term, and more importantly, using this as my ministry to build a kingdom, because that's what I really wanted to do. My dad was a pastor, not like a how do I put it, like a pastor leading a church, but he was an associate pastor with my brother, or not my brother, his brother, my uncle. And I knew that was his big goal, is just building the kingdom, winning souls for Christ. So I know that's what I want to do, but I knew that there's different ways to go about it. It doesn't have to be in ministry, but you can have a business that can be your ministry, and win souls and put them towards Christ. So we've been doing that ever since, and it's been fun. So yeah.
I love it.
I'll say one, mindset wise, and I guess tangible, like financial wise, I would say the financial literacy concepts that we learn here, that's obviously a no-brainer. That's something we learn that now I wish I had known in the past, for sure, 100%. Just things revolving around personal finances, things around retirement planning, things obviously revolving around insurance when it comes to life insurance, and how it can be utilized and how it's been utilized for generations. Obviously the knowledge, that's one thing. The knowledge that you learn here is priceless. I have clients I sit down with every day, every other day. Wow, I wish I have learned about this sooner. Every single time. There's not 1 week or 2 days or appointments that I go by that a client doesn't say that to me. And it's just like, wow, likewise. That's why I'm doing it, right. And it makes sense, So that's one thing when it comes to, retirement planning, IULs, infinite banking, all that cool stuff when it comes to financial literacy. But then also outside of that, just this industry of financial services, but more importantly, how that you can make an impact on people and make a lot of money. And not just money in the sense of being, rich, wealth. And how that's transferable. Because I thought for the longest, dang, only people who are either play basketball, make music, or, sold their soul to business and have a bad family and don't have a good family life. I thought that was the only way to do it, And then for so long I thought, maybe I don't want to be wealthy. Maybe I don't want to have a lot of affluence and money. But then I thought, I'm like, wait, hold on. I'm seeing people where that's not the case. I see people here who make a lot of money passive because they built a business, and then they're able to have to spend time with their family. But more importantly, they're making impact. So once I came here and I saw that, I'm like, I don't have to pick between one or the other. I can have both.
That's good.
I can have both and accomplish all that God wants for me, and I don't have to compromise on my morals, values, and principles as well. I can be successful, build a big business, but also love God, serve my family, and do all of those things in between. So that's something that I learned here at PHP that I did not know beforehand in the outside world. So that was really impactful. So it just stretched my vision and my mindset and what's capable to be done, because I see it being done. So it's like, hey, if someone else can do it, why not me?
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Hey, you last day you picked up a new toy, man. We saw you.
Yeah, man. Picked up a new toy, a new vehicle. Nothing crazy. Just gets you from point A to point B.
That's it, right?
That's it. Nah, but
tell me about that experience, right? Like how, because I didn't even know you had taken money from the IUL.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man. So obviously we talk about all the time when it comes to financial services. Hey, you can fund an IUL, borrow from it tax-free from yourself. Infinite banking, you become your own bank instead of borrowing a loan from the bank to do that. So I actually tried it out. I'm like, dang, I'm helping my clients do this stuff every week, every single day, help tell them they can do it. I'm like, you know what, let me try it out myself. I've done it before where I borrowed money from IUL just for small things and stuff like that. But now I said, hey, let me borrow a different amount so I can help towards the vehicle. And I was able to do that. And it's just the power of it. It's like, wow, if I had a 401k, I couldn't do that. If I had a Roth IRA, could not do that. If I had money sitting in a savings account, in a high yield savings, or any other place, I could not do that. So I just said, wow, no wonder the wealthy are getting wealthier and the rich are getting richer. And unfortunately, the people who don't know are either staying where they're at or not progressing, unfortunately, because it's a lack of financial literacy and information. So I tried it out, took from it, borrowed from my policy, and use it to help with the purchase of the new vehicle. And it was phenomenal, smooth, easy process. I'm like, wow. More people need to know that it exists. So it just increased my conviction level that hey, if I'm doing it, I'm a walking testimony. Why not you? Right. Obviously it was to buy a vehicle, but what about buying an asset like a house, or maybe purchasing something else for your business? Whatever that looks like for you, everyone's case is different. But just knowing that that's there, that if you fund it, structure it properly, you're dealing with the right agent that can help you with that, it's usable. So I was able to do that, and it's just great to see it come full circle from when I first got started in the business, and also when I first got my IUL 2 years ago, all the way up until now. And who would have thought that decision of getting started, but also doing the business and even getting a policy is helping me 2 years down the line now. So it's just a blessing, because that's when I technically my first car. The first car that I technically driven was my dad's. You know, he passed away and everything, so it was the blue truck, the blue Mercedes, and it kind of had some problems, broke down, so there was no point in fixing it. So I said, you know what, let me get a new vehicle, and thanks to this industry and this business and the income you can make, it's like, hey, why not get something that helps, obviously with marketing, but more importantly, that you like to get in every single day. So I was able to purchase that vehicle.
Let's go. I like it.
Man, appreciate it,
Let's
man.
do it.
Yes.
Hey.
All right, there you have it. Simisola. He pronounced his last name for you, right? No, but yeah, I mean, powerful story. You know, his jump into the world of business and finance, entrepreneurship, all that stuff. If you ever see his office, the clipping, the newspaper clip, it's so powerful, man. $25,000 his dad gave back, and I truly believe, man. You can call it karma, you can call it, you know, reaping and sowing. I truly believe that some of the deeds that his dad may have done, I think his son is really living in some of the abundance and overflow of just being a good person. And so sometimes you see it in your lifetime, sometimes your kids will be a benefactor of you going out there and just being a good person, doing right by others. And so super powerful. This is the first of many, so I'm glad you were able to watch and, you know, get a chance to hear a story. If you feel like that story is one that you want to share, feel free, share it, like, subscribe to the channel, as we continue to bring you powerful stories that I truly believe will change the world. And so with that being said, I'll let you guys go, and thank you for being here. Be on the lookout for the next episode of Return the Favor here on Evolution TV. Take care.